Test Ride is brought to you by SteadyMate, tying down your outdoor adventure toys.
Can-Am introduced the Spyder a few years ago to a lot of media attention, and since then, I've been itching to try one of these things. And I finally convinced Can-Am to send me a full moon SE5 version of the Spyder. But part of the deal is, I gotta tell you guys about my experience. I figured there's still a lot of interest out there in the snowmobile world about the Spyder and how it compares to a snowmobile, so it does kind of make sense to me anyways that we run one of these units through Test Drive. So the question is, does it compare to a snowmobile? Yes. And does it compare to a motorcycle? Not so much. As a sledder and past motorcyclist, I think this thing is much more snowmobile-like than bike. But basically, the Spyder is its own animal, and if you compare it directly to a motorcycle or a sled, you're following the wrong path, or road in this case, and you're gonna be disappointed. Now, to help me get my head bent around the concept of the Spyder, I got the keys to the kingdom of Calabogie Motorsport, a road course track a short drive from my home, where I could really stretch the legs out of the Spyder without having to worry about the police chasing me down, and I had the whole place to myself. Talk about a gearhead fantasy. The experience on the track taught me more about the Spyder than any road test I could have done, and I learned a couple of important things. Number one, that this thing is really easy to ride and ride fast. But the second thing I learned is that the active handling control of the Spyder carries a pretty big ruler, and it's kind of like having your mom or maybe a nanny sitting on the seat behind you. On the track, the feeling of the snowmobile was really coming through, like having to hang ham off the inside to keep the inside ski of the tire on the ground, and that the sightlines around the bodywork had me thinking rev the whole time. What I did find different from the sled, though, was the active handling that started to kick in just as things were about to get interesting. I so wanted to carry the inside tire about that high off the ground in the corner, just like on a snowmobile. You have no idea. But the machine just won't let you do it. Although at the speeds I was cooking up on the track, I'm pretty sure I would have ended up in the rhubarb, and it was the computer, and not me, that kept things in check. Out on the track, the nanny is a little too intrusive for a 10-tenths ride. Instead, it'll keep the training wheels on for about a 7.5 to 8-tenths riding experience. But you know what? That's for the open track. For the open road, it's a different story, and having the nanny aboard is a good thing. This Spyder also has the high-end SE5 transmission, a semi-automatic 5-speed sequential box that'll bang through the shifts like a pro. The SE5 will cut the ignition on upshifts and blip the throttle on downshifts all by itself. It'll even downshift on its own if you forget as you approach a stop sign. Very cool. It's things like the active handling and SE5 transmission that take away from the motorcycle experience, besides the fact that this thing doesn't lean going through a corner. And it's also the reason why a true motorcyclist will be disappointed with the Spyder when they compare it to their bikes. But these same characteristics are also the reason why the Spyder attracts a whole new type of rider. The Spyder should also appeal to riders who want the motorcycle experience without worrying about the road conditions or develop the skills necessary to ride a vehicle that naturally wants to fall over. The whole falling over and crashing thing can be a real non-starter for regular folks who would like to ride but just feel too nervous about doing it. All of a sudden, you don't have to worry about obstacles or cracks in the road, trying to figure out what gear you're in, or getting set up to lean in a corner, or even worry about those sudden gravel patches that appear out of nowhere. Instead, the Spyder takes care of those problems by itself, freeing up time for you to relax a little bit, enjoy the scenery, and just ride.